All right. Good afternoon. I'm Carlton Brown. Welcome to my Thursday Live. I'm Carlton Brown with Carlton Brown Coaching. And today is Thursday. This is where I share tips and strategies that help you navigate the confusion and stress that comes with change and life transition so you can have energy, some vibrancy to really enjoy the moments that matter and create more of them, right? So that's what I am. And for any of you that is your first time here, I'm Carlton Brown. I am a specialist. I am a personal development and life transition specialist. I do seminars as well as personal one-to-one or group coaching. And each Thursday, I try to come on live just to share some tips and strategies. So today, in the same vein, in the same thought pattern, that's what we're going to do. And, what came up for me is throughout this week, there have been so many different things occurring, and especially over the past few weeks where, everything doesn't always align to where it's just a perfect, linear, if you will, motion to where all the things fall in place. And so sometimes when things don't fall in place, that's where we really get tested and our mettle, if you will, gets challenged. So what brought me into that space was one, of course, what I'm working through personally, but then also just thinking through some of the questions I've entertained from my clients. And one of those questions was about acceptance. Like, what does it mean to accept something? And I started to really think about, how acceptance plays in terms of within our lives and within our decision-making process, as well as how we navigate through the different changes we experience. Sometimes the natural response is to fight against the circumstance or the situation and increase a lot of resistance. But, what I've learned is that internal resistance that we're creating based off of our expectations or the expectations that we have of when the timing to do something or to experience something, and how that timing aligns to our expectations, when that's not in sync with our thought and it's not aligned to, the reality is not aligned to the experience that we're going through, we start to really churn on it mentally, and then we really do struggle with that. So you have this internal pressure run by an internal clock a lot of times, and you're comparing it to the outside circumstance, and it really does start to beat up on you. So, one way that we do engage acceptance in that moment is, and this is probably the most common way, is to say, you know what, I'm just going to control what I can control. I am going to assume that position. And that's a great position to have because it puts agency back on you. You are entitled to have that agency, and you're starting that claim of agency, right? But there are other forms of acceptance. And that's what I want to share with you, is maybe there are other forms you can engage and have in your toolkit that really help you get the most out of your experience, the most out of the situation, the most out of your time and thought pattern. So you can really just really be supporting yourself in a more meaningful way. All right. So the first of that, and the first way that I would say is, that you can apply acceptance, but just leverage a different, set of skills, if you will, or different perspective, is what we call radical honesty. So in essence, when you're radically honest with yourself, first and foremost, about the experience that you're going through, about the words that you're using to describe that experience, as well as what you're actually seeing, not what you're playing forward, not what you're envisioning, if you will, or forecasting, but what is actually in front of you in that moment. You are actually empowering yourself to make the best decisions, to be as flexible and as agile as you can to get the best solution for you in that moment or in that circumstance for your family or for others or someone you love. Like that's really what you benefit from being radically honest with yourself. Because then at that point, you can ask yourself very logical questions. You can say, hey, well, if this is exactly what I see that's in front of me, what do I need to actually move the needle forward? Or what else could I be overlooking? Because I now understand that I'm fully aware of what, the situation is. So a first form of acceptance, again, that's outside of just saying, hey, I'm going to exercise agency over it, I'm going to control what I'm going to control, is exercising radical honesty. Now, another form that you can utilize is on the other end of the scale. And we describe it as kind of resignation, right? Resignation is a gradual acceptance. It's slow in duration. It doesn't happen overnight. Depending on how jarring or how emotionally filled or how, really connected you are to the circumstance and situation that's unfolding in front of you. Sometimes that sheer, shock of what's going on, it does take a minute to peel away from it, like, and remove some of that emotion, or it does take a second to really wrap your hands around what actually is occurring, right? So in essence, when you say, hey, I am just going to kind of accept it, well, great. That also means you don't have to do it overnight. You can do it over time, and you can do it in a way that is gradual. It feels comfortable to you. It feels that you're able to support yourself through the swings of emotions and feelings and thoughts that come with accepting the circumstance that's unfolding. But in the end, it's a great thing, and it's not to be shunned upon just because your acceptance doesn't happen the next day or the next minute after the situation. It can, depending on the circumstance or the situation, again, take some time. So give it some time, but don't stagnate in that resignation. It's an action-oriented word. It means that you are gradually moving to it, not stopping and not, pondering and just, not taking the action of, hey, I'm just going to sit here. No, it's really just, nope, I'm actively going to bring it into my mind that there may be some things that I can truly wrap my hands around, and I don't have to tackle it all at once. So that's what resignation is. And it's something that can be applied really easily, because the default that happens is if we're not very intentional in how we think of a circumstance or a situation, what happens is you get past it, you get through it, and then it's like, oh, I'm through the situation. It's not in front of you. Then hindsight becomes 2020, right? And that's where, the reality of the situation lands more in the resignation camp, but it can be applied even a lot sooner before you get through it. It's just having some awareness that that's an option for you. And then I would say the last one that I would like to introduce is called conditional acceptance. Conditional acceptance is a way for you to literally qualify by like a time constraint or a condition your acceptance of the circumstance or situation. Like maybe you know that you're only allowing yourself to experience the frustration, the anger, or whatever it is at that point for a duration of time, and you can actually time bound it and prepare yourself with all that you need to move away from that situation or circumstance mentally, thoughtfully, even physically at times, because you're saying, hey, I know I need to prepare, for example, or I know I need to take this action step personally to really be equipped to go from this situation or this circumstance and move forward in life in general, to something greater. So that's where that conditional acceptance comes in. And it's like giving yourself an opportunity to have a yardstick that you can say, well, I'm ready at this point. And you know, because how you may work through other problems or work through other situations that come up for you, it may be an easy tool to implement. And it's kind of a piecewise approach, but it's also, again, very action oriented, because you know that by a certain time or by a certain condition, like a certain piece of criteria that you've defined, that once that hits and once that aligns with you, or once that falls into place, you're going to be fully ready to let it go and really move forward with it. So, you know, with that, those are the three additional areas and ways that acceptance can be exercised and show up. There are probably more ways, of course, right? So again, the last being first is conditional acceptance, followed by oh, what did I forget? Sorry. Followed by resignation, and then the resignation followed by radical honesty. So any of those three can really help align you and just get beyond the simple agency alignment of, yep, I'm gonna control what I'm gonna control. Well, that's great. But if that's not gonna work for a certain moment, then maybe try one of the three of the others that I introduced. All right. So with that, I appreciate your time. Again, I'm Carlton Brown. If you would like to learn more about me and my practice, please just reach out. I'm at carltonbrowncoaching.com. Soon we have a free giveaway on the website coming up. It's a freebie. It's going to help you define the new rules that you want to live by. It's going to be action-packed and very much a step-through workbook that's going to give you some great detail. And it's all going to be free from the website. So that's one thing. And then please, that's where I list different events, or also I receive different inquiries from you about potential coaching opportunities, as well as group coaching or other aspects that I do. So all in all, thank you for your time. I'm Carlton Brown with Carlton Brown Coaching, and I appreciate you joining my Thursday Live. All right.